Hello, Greg Wiseman, principal of Renfro Middle School here, wishing all Renfro community a happy Thanksgiving. I am so thankful for all of my teachers, all of my staff, all of my students, and my whole community. Decatur is an amazing place to work, and I do not take it for granted, and I am so thankful for every one of you. So, I'd like to take a moment to address a few things, mainly the Chromebook one-to-one initiative, student book bags, and the locker situation at Renfro. Although these are three separate issues, they are now linked, creating a challenge for some students. So let me take these on one by one. Let me start by talking about school lockers, and let me give you some history. When the decision was made to come back to in-person learning in March 2021, the Renfro administration team created a plan in which students entered assigned doors and went directly to their first period classes without going to lockers. The reason for this was to promote social distancing. Now, if you've ever been in the hallways during arrival and dismissal pre-COVID times, it is anything but socially distanced. The staff and I were amazed at how civilized the beginning of the school day was as students went directly to first period. The Renfro staff was very enthusiastic to continue this practice this school year, not only from the social distancing aspect, but also for the emotional health aspect, for students not having to run the packed gauntlet 2 times a day. You know, these halls were designed for 500 students, not 1,300 students. Therefore, I made the decision to continue with our arrival and dismissal procedure this school year, which did not include lockers. Okay, so let's talk about clear book bags. Once the locker decision was made, we made the decision to require students to use a clear book bag. Since students would be carrying items from class to class, we wanted to decrease the temptation for students to bring items to school that did not belong in school. Like it or not, middle schoolers can make some really bad decisions. If a clear book bag would dissuade just some students from making a really bad decision with some really bad consequences, then I was in favor. I know this was not a popular decision. So now let me address the Chromebooks. The Chromebooks and charging stations that Renfro had the last few years will be repurposed at Fave and Talley Street, while Renfro and Decatur High roll out a Chromebook for each student. One thing the pandemic taught us is there is unequal accessibility of technology among our students, which was a driving force behind the one-to-one initiative. Also, in order to be efficient with public funds, the one-to-one initiative actually requires far fewer devices than having a cart and set with every classroom. Our distribution of the Chromebooks went smoothly, and I believe our efforts to teach the students about their care and use was effective. So, I support each of these 3 decisions in a vacuum: the no lockers, the clear book bags, and the Chromebook initiative. But I recognize, put together, has created an issue for some of our students. I get it. I've met with individual students, I got input in an advisement class, and while subbing in a bunch of classes a couple weeks ago, I stopped the lesson to gather their input. We dissected some book bags. I put a few on my back as well. Some were pretty darn heavy. So, now that we have gathered input from students and parents, here is how I want to proceed to lighten the load. So, first of all, we are going to lift the clear book bag procedure. Students can bring sturdier book bags with better straps that don't condensate when they get wet and they don't gather water inside. I realize this doesn't actually lighten the load, but it makes the load easier to manage. My ask for parents is to inspect your student's book bag on a regular basis, not only for contraband, but also to give pointers on leaving unneeded items out. We have some hoarders among us. Next thing, Leaving classroom notebooks in class. So most of the students told me they had multiple composition notebooks in their book bags because some teachers didn't have a process for gathering them in the room after each period. Many teachers do this, but some do not, nor was this ever a mandate for teachers to follow. I am now asking all teachers to have a process in which students may leave their notebooks in class if they are not needed elsewhere. This can help lighten the load a little bit. So I appreciate the input I received from students and staff and parents about this issue. Before I acted, I wanted the kids and staff to live with the decision a bit to get an accurate reading on the challenges we faced. My staff and I are also exploring an effective and efficient way a limited number of students can leave their devices and cords in classrooms after dismissal. This will not work for 1,350 students, so my staff need to determine an efficient and equitable way to make this happen. I hope you appreciate why we made the decisions we made and the course corrections we will implement to help students lighten the load after Thanksgiving break. Thank you so much. Have a great break. Bye-bye.